I'm very pleased to be here to join in this conversation about the essential role in our society of the cultural space and all those who work within it, particularly in terms of the authentic voice that artists and creative people offer and the great layer of humanity they bring to a truly functioning and democratic nation. In March, in the shadow of the coronavirus crisis, the lights began to fade and go out across our cultural spaces, our theatres, concert halls, and so many other spaces that nurture and encourage our capacity for imaginative possibilities. Since then, our artists and all those who work in the creative sector have suffered shock, dismay, and hardship, and their livelihoods face perhaps the greatest threat in living memory. Yet, throughout the challenge of COVID-19, many wonderful people have found many imaginative and inventive ways in which to ensure that some of the cultural engagement remained available. As we begin to reopen the economic and social dimension of our society, it is critical that the vital contribution of the arts in both those dimensions is not overlooked or viewed as an unaffordable luxury in a time of crisis, but rather is provided for as an essential basic service. As part of Dear Ireland, I have been invited to read to you a letter that President Higgins wrote to all the heads of states in Europe and to the European institutions, in which he outlined his thoughts on how to address the devastating consequences of COVID-19 for our cultural practitioners and institutions. He wrote to the presidents of the European Parliament, the European Commission, the European Council of Ministers, and 14 heads of state who are part of the Areolas group of presidents, of which President Higgins is one. The President has had a lifelong commitment to culture, to the arts, and to all those who work in the cultural space. It is a commitment that remains part of the work of the Áras. So I'm delighted to have this opportunity to read to you the letter. 4th of June, 2020. Dear President, as a former President of the Council of Cultural Ministers of the European Union, I write to you to stress the need for and seek support for initiatives that I believe are urgently needed to make good a lacuna we have experienced in our European Union, recognising and realising the contribution of culture, cultural workers and artists. When I had the honour of being President of the Council of Cultural Ministers of the European Union during the Irish presidency of the Union in 1996, not only in that year, but often before and since, I heard the phrase attributed to Jean Monnet: if I were starting again, I would start with culture. Jean Monnet was the unifying force behind the birth of the European Union. So I write to suggest that in our response to COVID-19 and its devastating consequences for cultural practitioners, we have been given a golden opportunity to address this neglected dimension of the European Union possibilities and capacities, be it in terms of resources, heritage, shared expression, and life, by seriously addressing the issues of the income, resources, and sustenance needs of cultural workers, who have been among those who have suffered most due to the coronavirus pandemic. I speak of cultural workers in general, and performance artists in particular, who are affected both by lost audience venues and conditions of production made near impossible. Let us, holders of public office, past and present in our countries and the European Union, ask ourselves, how often have cultural workers, creativity and performances been used to enhance public celebrations, gatherings, national aspirations and affirmations? Not only on such occasions, but in the rhythms of our shared community life, have we not received renewal and inspiration from a sharing of culture, our own and that of others? Now, the livelihood of workers in the cultural space are in the greatest danger of disappearing from the public world, and they are seeking our help, not for themselves, I suggest, but for a version of the European Union that represents so much of our hopes for the future. The rich, diverse culture of our peoples, inherited and contemporary. We are facing an emergency in the cultural space in terms of income, venues, public access, participation, and may I say, social cohesion and fulfillment. Is now not the time to place access to culture among the necessary infrastructural spending and investment as part of provisions for universal basic services? Surely it cannot be beyond us to bring into being a system of support and solidarity for artists, from the emerging to the established. As the Union resumes its necessary commercial and retail transactions, hopefully in a way that shows a reflection has been made on a better fit between ecology, society, and economics, can we not look also to the public spaces, the venues for public performance, the basic needs of emerging and classical expression of all of the arts, and say, we commit. This can be an enduring expression of our European Union, where culture is made safe for the future and for sharing with the world. We salute the creative expression of the peoples of the European Union and the living conditions of all those who made our lives more fully human by such work. They will have our support and protection. I offer my support for such an initiative and would appreciate your support for any set of initiatives that will help achieve the making safe of the space of culture and performance in our European Union, for now and into the future. We have attempted as a union small steps before, and while I was associated with those, I so remember how in the past we very nearly succeeded with the Yehudi Menuhin initiative, which was to ensure that every child in the European Union would have access to a musical instrument. We didn't succeed, but we tried. Now we can succeed with a strong step in the most urgent of times. Our artists of all ages and backgrounds, contemporary and classical, need our solidarity now. Let us together help them and fill the gap Jean Monnet identified. Let us be able to say, we in our time recognize the importance of the cultural space. Yours sincerely, Michael D. Higgins, Uachtarán na hÉireann, President of Ireland.